It was the revolution to rule them all, the standard by which all revolutions would be judged, ushering in a new phase of human history where the people and wise leaders would come together to guarantee liberty, equality, and fraternity. So why did the French Revolution start off with such high hopes and end a couple decades later with the French losing millions of people, all to trade one King Louis for another King Louis? Well, like most revolutions, there were very legitimate grievances which led to people of all walks of life demanding change and coming to the conclusion that it was never going to happen with the current political structure. But what is so interesting about the French Revolution is how many people get it so wrong. For instance, the socialists use it as a classic example of capitalism and the bourgeoisie running amok. The monarchists, a cautionary tale of what happens when the lower orders are not subject to a strong hand. And of course, the argument that income inequality explains everything. And while that's all interesting, it leaves us wanting as far as an explanation goes. So what was it that caused the American Revolution to go relatively smoothly by comparison to the French Reign of Terror? And it really all starts with the Ancien regime. Because if you were looking to come up with a highly autocratic, top-down form of government deliberately designed to keep everyone in their place, this was it. It essentially consisted of three levels: the church, the nobility, and everybody else. And as you can imagine, the vast majority, like well over 95% of the population, fell in the third category. And they were not the ones with any money or power. Now, this seems to feed right into the argument about income inequality and social inequity, and to some degree, it absolutely does. But it's not like there weren't economic disparities or social hierarchies in the American colonies. This is where the truly dark side of the French Revolution comes into play. Almost right from the start, the revolution was plagued by many who saw the political chaos as their chance to seize power for themselves. And entire political factions emerged, not to try to steer the country in the better direction, but rather to remake it in their image. And while the revolution at first produced many leaders who were similar to the founding fathers and who genuinely wanted to fix the political corruption in the Ancien regime, restore the economy, protect the rule of law, and even defend property rights, these people quickly found themselves drowned out by those who saw the revolution as a unique chance to completely remake society from the ground up. Rather than seeking to free the people and let them govern themselves as the revolution had originally promised, these leaders claimed ultimate power to act on behalf of the people, substituting the popular will for their own. In fact, Robespierre went so far as to claim, "I am the people myself." And naturally, when you claim that you alone represent the will of the people, you can justify just about anything you do. And despite the revolution officially turning France into a republic, political power was never settled by free or fair elections, but rather by force of arms as one coup after another finally culminated in an obscure artillery officer from Corsica seizing power in November of 1799. So, what can we learn about the French Revolution today? Well, perhaps most importantly, it's a cautionary tale of how disastrous it can be when political leaders attempt to remake all of society in their image. Because what began as a revolt against an absolute monarch only ended in the rule of another absolute monarch.